Conrad getting you set down there. Spring meetings. I'm sure a lot of you probably down in Destin last week. Maybe wish you were there right now with all the rain that we've gotten this week. But that's just how we roll. But they are, from my understanding, most of, if not all of the coaches have now head of the higher ups, the presidents of these universities that are out a number of debates, including game SEC conference schedule. What are we going to do? Football play coming next season that have been going. Got some interesting information. There's actually some time talking about some different playoff formats. So reveal that have been shared with head coaches, and so we'll what those in spring meeting. Some pretty big in the college basketball. If you're in Alabama, and yesterday for you, and here in just a little reason, you just haven't been able to listen for the last couple of weeks. So we just finished, me and Damien, our SEC Mount Rushmores. We went through each for those schools. We yesterday started with Auburn 16 days ago, or a little over 16 days ago, I guess now. Going to just do all SEC. And yesterday on the text line, talking about quarterback offense and an all defense list, and some. So that's what makes it difficult, right? You got to pick 4 in the show. So you're all 4 great of all very those lists, and you can go 9450, just like, of course, our buddy Lewis has already done. Appreciate you.
That you're talking about the SEC meetings down in Destin, and I know that you had some comments about Kalen. Boy, I just want you're in a better spot. Some of my Alabama buddies, they were kind of concerned. They were just
they?
Yeah, because emotions on your sleeve. It struck a nerve yesterday, and I was just wanted to just to clarify that you're in better spirits.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't anything today, but no, it is not on the for asking that. But yeah, send those in 205-834-9450. We'll get after we talk a little with the spring meetings. But you just ask me if I'm in a better and a bit last night. Today, but a lot of you may be asleep. He will be to the for the upcoming season. Something that we thought was essentially, I guess he from the NBA at that point in time, and he full to the NBA draft. And Damian, now we know coming back for another of Alabama. So he had 11 points and 4 assists a game, like 29 games for Alabama. He scored in the final game of the season against Duke. He was probably for Alabama, and certainly is going to do them wonders in terms of next year and how we project their season to go.
Yeah, and it's going to discuss the Auburn side of things as well. Returning, they need this. I think just develop, and now you can be looking number one option as far as scoring for, and his freshman status. Like, he showed that he belonged in so now, nice run. Now you're going to piece that can keep this thing going. And I mean, if I'm salivating, it's over now. And I think for just LeBaron being a better basketball player, it's very similar to Janai Broome this past year for Auburn. It's, man, to the NBA draft, don't really want to do that, but coming back to the SEC and kind of what your talents are and improving in some things, I think it's going to be key for LeBaron, and I think it's going to be great for Alabama basketball too.
So big news there. So quickly, spot as far as we can tell. I know there's still a guard from U. Picked up some interest from 10, and was it Gonzaga yesterday, maybe? But he's got some other schools that are looking at him now. Pylon move, maybe. The equipment is coming back. 5. Then you Taylor, Florida State, 5-star of the year last year, coming in, and London Jimison, Amari Allen, and Dave. So things looking pretty good there. Oates and his staff, but as Damian mentioned, the good news didn't stop there, because earlier you got, if you're Auburn basketball, so we'll start off, of course, being Tahad Pettiford. He announces similar that he a draft and he will be Auburn, and certain Pettiford are both going to, that is probably preseason. I think that he's going to have a fantastic season. As well, but Pettiford is in an All-American, wouldn't conversation to start. And yeah, for your Auburn fans, I'll say it. Like, I think Pettiford's maybe a little bit better than LeBaron Philon. They're both special talents, but and I and rightfully so. Massive news for him coming back. Murphy, some of these guys that transferred in, you got who averaged about so they spot to be about 11 deep now with Pet, Keyshawn Hall, Keiko Poor, Free, Abdul Bashir, and Caden Magwood, and on top of that, you got another to the squad. Serbian by the name of one of 9. He hit averaged a little over 12 points a game, which I probably never heard of this. But who else? Think of the last name.
Joker?
Nikola, that Filip Jovic came from. So I'm not saying good. The same organization, who is probably the best Jokic. So, game last year, he will slide spots you would imagine for all. Just kind it seems like at least look to project and try to get a big, but keep up Jokic 5 there for the Auburn Tigers. So, a lot of Bama last night, and two of these, you know, he for they take in the other season teams. We're not of them this year, but I am potentially, and maybe even Auburn more so than Alabama, into the conversation of being a top 10 team in the preseason again. So, I'll- that Houston officially approved yesterday has scheduled a game against UTA, familiar with, for the upcoming season. Going to travel on December 7th, and I guess of note, typically, it's Austin Claunch, who he was an assistant for a couple of years, there to return trip for him, coming and playing Alabama basketball news. If you we haven't had time to get to it, he actually was the trendsetter. He is good that he is withdrawing from the draft, and he hit about of money college basketball era, because I love to think that Pettiford and Philon just love Auburn and Alabama, but I have to imagine that there's a lot of money. Of Alabama for Philon, and the NBA draft entrance in terms of underclassmen in over 10, 4, 5 or 6 years ago, or I get no years ago. When was this? So years ago, 4 years ago, they entered the NBA draft early. This, so it just kind of tells
Take that pay cut.
We're seeing from Pettiford, Philon, and Yaxel Lindebor. Teamy, I'm going to be a first round pick. I'm going to go take that NIL money, and that's exactly what is going to happen there. So big day around the state for both schools. Yes, excited for this fall. All of this plays out on the court, but we coming out of Destin yesterday, a lot of meetings, a lot to get to as it involves the college football playoff to 9 conference games here in the SEC. So going to take a quick break, tell you everything you need to know, what you missed from yesterday. Destin, you're 6:18. Welcome Thursday morning. Conrad Van Order and Dane until 7. Get into some spring meeting news. But a quick note for, as you surely know, the game last got put, and so now they are going to be playing a double. So the good news is today, header expected first pitch around 12 o'clock noon, and then game at the regular scheduled time tonight of 5:45. So you'll be able to hear those on the JOX family of network. That's just a little bit of an update there, and we will see retaliate after Spencer Strider expectation. Any of that drama carries over into later today. All right, getting to going on Austin, Florida. Are we going to stay at 8 or go to 9 conference games here in the SEC and then automatic qualify? And so main point, Sankey yesterday, he expect that there's a decision made over the next few 8 or 9 game conference schedule. With this, because yesterday, as you had some of the coaches coming out and saying, well, we game conference schedule until we know what it looks like, because if we don't help us get more teams we want to adopt, makes sense to me. Greg Sankey also said decision on the schedule before the because the ADs have made we need to figure out this schedule deal before the start of the upcoming season. Like, we need to have this done in the next few months, essentially, whereas the college football playoff debate can carry on through the season, and whether it gets figured during the season, a little bit after, that's still on the table. So, and a little bit of a stalemate right, schedule negotiations are figured out, but those to where, they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now.
Yeah. And again, I'm just a consumer of football. I would love, and we've all certain, practices and models of we can make it work. It's just at some point, the SEC, they're going to have to. Why not get the television numbers? You're going to get the revenue. Like, the more eyes losing, but you can look at the chance of losing. So to me, I look at it from this perspective of big time college football, week in and week out. You add an extra week, and kind of rotate things. You can find certain ways around it, but to it has to work. I think it has to work.
Yeah. So, because there's future of college football on into the college football play discussion, and were shared by man front yesterday. He works for Outkick, does a great job covering college football, and he got coaches. So this is going to be from Brian Kelly. This is Brian Kelly scheduling thinks how. So what the potential in the Big Ten to play each other, not only season. And this is something that Brian Kelly said yesterday. And he said head coaches for this scheduling format. 9 SEC games, 1, and then you would have 2 open dates. So you could play your cupcakes, you could do it then. And then, I mean, I guess you could go. One would probably not only that, according to Brian Kelly, there are other SEC coaches that are like, yeah, let's do this thing. I like
when LSU has to play, like Purdue or something. They lose the week to start the season, and Brian Kelly's back at the podium, slam. We're back having the same conversation again. But it was a little bit different, but we see the SEC and Big 12 challenge.
Yep.
Why not do SEC versus Big 10? Because Texas and Ohio State.
No.
These battles. Why not spread the wealth? Because again, you're starting the season off with a marquee matchup, and all eyes will be on your program. And
this game, the season opener every year, right? And so you can kind of get it out of the way. SEC and the Big 12 challenge that year and back, right? And conference play started, and so it's not only to have marquee match networks happy, but it's also easier to kind of get your feet up. But and I think it's a good idea. We do see in the Big 10 because we like to brag about how we're the best. They think they're the best, and this would be a good way to be before, of course, getting to the play. And so with the scheduling, now we know college football play a lot until stone. So what? So Ross Dillon, Destin, so 3. So we've talked about it's where SEC and ACC and then the group of 6 gets 1, and then the 5 would be all your bid. The left. Personally, and I threw out this idea yesterday, Damien, but that if you ranked outside, you are not guaranteed an automatic qualifier. I know some people, but I don't know. I guess I just look at it automatic bids for a team like last game of the season, and so they find themselves in the playoff now, and everyone's like, I mean, I guess you deserve that kind of a protection because a group of 6 situation, you have the high
opposite perspective. To me, if you're similar to the 5-11, it's the Power 4 conferences get the automatic bid if they win their conference. Because to me, if you win your conference, you have what you've needed to do. You've done an 8-4 kind of but yet conference champion. So to me, I think they should still be it's NCAA tournament where you in.
Yeah.
Now, because a couple years ago with Pitt winning the ACC that year, and nobody really looked at them as one of the top teams in college football because it's not a tournament style thing. It's a conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
Their conference college football playoff because when you needed it most in the conference championship. Now, granted, yeah, happens in college football anyway, week to week.
Yeah.
But win your conference, you should still get a spot in the college football playoff. But that's just ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and SEC.
Yeah, the Power Four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you can, this is where say, okay, well, yeah, if this undefeated Boise team is as good as we think they are, then yeah, they can find themselves in the at-large spot.
Like since there weren't any. Okay, well, if we're gonna take a shot, be Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't. Okay. Probably one. I thought you said there were 3. There were this the other 2, and you'll see why in a second. So it is instead of the they, as you can imagine, that one action and coaches in the SEC, but the Big Ten report of the. However, they want to see the conference games because that's what the Big Ten does before they agree to it. So again, we were at a stalemate. A lot of traction though, potentially that it's a okay. Well, the conferences seem to be in a to make they're willing to do anything there. So that's a lot of information, a lot of and it's very confusing, and I totally understand that. So a lot of you chime to those, get your thoughts on the future of the play SEC conference schedule. We do still see Mount Rushmore. We are jam-packed those in 20450. Side, we'll get to your reaction to what's going on in college football, and me and Damon will share our all Rushmores, and then we will continue to hear from you on the other side in JOX 94.5. 6:35 and here this morning on JOX 94.5. About to get to our SEC Rushmores. You can keep sitting those in to 450 action first to college football playoff discussions going on. But quickly, to share in the college football front very quickly, Xavier Griffin, we talked about him last week, I believe, but he decommitted from U.S. this month. He to Alabama. Sports predicting that is where he is going to end up. Linebacker in the 2026 class. He announced his decision 9th. Ohio State and Florida State, but Alabama seems to be in the lead right now. So some good news on the recruiting front for Alabama is with the college football playoff in the conference schedule. And John on the 5-11 model, the SEC is still any given year, even if they go to a 9-game schedule. And that's a good based on the data that I believe it was over the last decade in a 16-team model format, the Big Ten and SEC would both have averaged 5 teams in the playoff each and every year. So, Bill, more right? Just like Kentucky, something that they are choosing to protect, that could also be part of it. And that could unfortunately be part of this discussion, right? If you move to that 9th conference game and 10 kind of cross-conference rivalry thing, yeah, maybe those games do go play 4 games in a given year, but that's in a SEC. Yeah, they don't like playing. They don't like playing Big or SEC schools.
Lincoln Riley is like, can we throw Vanderbilt? Can we have the Vanderbilt slate if we get a chance to? Can we have Kentucky? Maybe we have Kentucky.
Yeah, let's not forget who was trying to him last year. It wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was. Let's see. They're called games, and then they will do it. Well, I think the discussion's more not the SEC. The other conferences wanting the SEC to do it.
All right.
Bama hates. He played 9 with the performance petitioning the committees for undeserved spots. In he says, does finishing tied for 4 not making the play with the QB with no number 2 preseason ranking. Please. So I assume the likes of an Ohio State being ranked. I guess Texas, you are just in very limited situations against not powerful, like not great competition.
No.
What was it? Mississippi State, I think, last year.
And Louisiana Monroe.
So, I mean, look, I'm a concerned Bama hater about where Alabama. Just go ahead and tell you that they're not in the top 10, but they're not going to be number 2. You remove your bias, you would realize, yeah, there's reason for so more so than in Miami right now. And okay, well, that's it. That's all of your from what's going on there. So just a lot of things out, but again, not expected to have much of a decision there. So take a quick break to get to. A lot of you keep sending in your all SEC Mount Rushmores, 205-834-9450. Quick break. We're going to come back to the list, and then we will spend the rest of the show reading yours on GMC text line. You're on a Thursday edition on JOX 94.5. Welcome to your third or five. Appreciate you spending some time with us. Hand you off to McElroy and Kublik in the morning, coming up at 7, as they will no doubt spend more time game conference schedule as well. College football playoff. Sunday, the regular season finale. The horse with us that if you are somebody that wants to make the trek up to a section split up. If you go horseman group, they wanted that they have 2 sections where they are trying to get all of the Stallions fans to sit, and everyone can sit together. So go check out the Horsemen on Facebook if you want to support the Stallions this weekend. It seems like there's a decent group headed up to Memphis.
There we go. Giddy up.
Giddy up. Yeah, and the regular season on a high note there, get a little revenge as well. So you are, and I'm sure many school kind of going to hurt a lot of people, just like it hurts me to read these, because some of the greatest football players, there's a lot. So quickly, Bo Jackson.
Okay. It's all good.
Honorable mention, Peyton Manning. And
okay.
So now here shows each one. So I have whether I playing, but that he is truly the great. I think Cam Newton has the best single season in the history of college. Able to do, who had Southeastern Conference. So I but man, we time. So that's my Rushmore. Tim, where are you going, Damien?
We have for honorable mention. I have Joe Burrow. Also have Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Oh,
so I'm kind of. I try of the modern era to say at least 2 guys that I've seen. Jackson. He's done in his college career. Bo knows. Number 2, as well. To your point, one of the best defensive players really to ever play college football.
Yeah.
Hail from the University of Alabama. This is where it got a little tough. And I could care less if he was only there for a year. I got Cam. Again, you look at the let the record speak for itself.
Was what Cam Newton did infinitely more impressive than Joe Burrow.
1,000.
Okay. Kellen Mond.
Lord, Texas A&M quarterback. I have Johnny Manziel.
Okay. Johnny. You never. Incredible.
And that. And I was like, I need somebody on the show and also put up numbers. So I Cam Newton, Derek Thomas, and Bo Jackson.
Excellent.
That was a tough one.
Yeah, that was another one that was hard to leave off.
It hurt.
Yeah, no, I understand. Bo Jackson, Derek Thomas, and Tim. Can't argue with that one. Eric is going to Smith, but his players, three guy Tua.
Yeah.
It was on there, but
I'm glad you took the high road, Conrad.
do I in Alabama hit slightly, but I can't put him over Tebow or Cam Newton or any of those guys as much as I may want to. He's still, but honorable mention for Johnny Manziel. All right, very good one. Time Walker, Bo Newton, and Tim Tebow, and Johnny Football. All right, a
lot of quarterbacks.
Can't hate on. Yeah, and exactly. And that's why I hate that route. First this morning, he and Bo Jackson, his list. Manning,
okay.
Honorable Newton, Johnny Manziel, and Tracy Rocker. Okay,
not a bad list.
We have somebody else, Tim Tebow, Joe.
Okay,
that's a good. All right, Connor from Tuscaloosa. He goes Alec Morris and Brad Smelly.
Recurring thing.
That would be the ironic. No, he did beat Alabama. John Ham, who would be probably the first name on there, and then Cam Newton. On the understand that if you can't do that. There's Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Derrick Henry, and our boy G-Mac. Greg Mack.
He's in GOAT.
According to Jamari from Talladega.
Hey, shout out to G-Mac.
I love that.
He's pretty good.
They go hurt. Aren't on my list.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can.
In my that also says I'm the biggest SEC. My or the talent. I mean, Justin Jefferson, all these guys. In my opinion,
build them like
he
that.
Better than all of those guys. On going Nick Saban, the single most important thing that happened in the last 20 years of Alabama football. And we can get into that another day. I'm sure many of you understand that, but that's why I had him as one of my honorable mentions. All right, we have somebody from North Carolina. Cam and Harvey Updike.
Wow. That's evil.
I wouldn't even go there.
No.
He goes Bo Jackson, Tim. This one, I haven't heard this one yet. Sean Alexander.
Oh, that rock.
Honorable mention. Hansby and Derek Thomas. All right.
Oh, he wants some heavy hitters.
That's interesting. Added, he's throwing them. Earl Campbell, Ozzie.
Okay.
Wow, actually saying something nice about Alabama. Let's see. More. That there chimes in. He goes Red and Devontae Smith.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, all-time leading receiver in the SEC. Somebody. Okay, so Brown. He says his face.
Okay.
Someone else chiming in. Oh, Cody and Derek Thomas.
Roll Tide.
Mount Cody.
Roll Tide.
Never going to forget that. The But does beat Alabama?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Someone. And then tomorrow we'll do SEC head Mount Rushmore. Mac and Cube in the morning. They're next.